Fela's courage, creativity, and conviction defined a generation and continue to inspire people worldwide. He added that in Yoruba mythology, Fela has transcended to a higher plane as an Orisha, making his legacy eternal. The president stressed that the award is an affirmation of his enduring global influence and the foundational role he played in the evolution of modern music, noting that Fela was the first African to receive the prestigious honor. The First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has urged Nigerians to love The First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has urged Nigerians to love one another, live in peace, show compassion and respect towards one another, and exhibit diligence in service to humanity. Oluremi spoke as the country joins the rest of the world to mark 5 audit reports by the Office of the Auditor General for the Federation. The committee expressed concern that persistent delays in the audit process have continued to weaken its constitutional oversight mandate, particularly its responsibility to scrutinize public expenditure and hold ministries, departments, and agencies accountable. The chairman of the committee, Bamidele Salam, disclosed this at a retreat for PAC members, committee staff, and key stakeholders held in Ghana. In a statement issued yesterday by the committee's media unit, Salam said the committee has resolved to convene a high-level stakeholders meeting immediately after the retreat, bringing together the Auditor General for the Federation, the Accountant General, the Financial Reporting Council, and other relevant institutions to agree on a clear timeline for clearing the outstanding audit reports. In a separate development, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has urged Nigerian youths to use the ongoing national reforms to upskill their skills. The minister described them as critical pathways for personal growth and nation building. Idris said this while delivering this year's convocation lecture titled Youth and Nation Building, Navigating Opportunities in an Era of National Reforms at the 34th convocation ceremony of the Federal University of Technology, FUT Mina, Niger State. The minister noted that the country's future depends mainly on how its young population is educated, skilled, and engaged. He explained that the reforms introduced under President Bola Tinubu's administration were deliberate and necessary to reset Nigeria's economic and governance systems. In another development, the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress (TUC) say they will stage a peaceful solidarity rally on February 3rd in support of the Joint Union Action Committee. The unions announced this in a joint statement signed by the General Secretary of NLC, Benson Ukpa, and the Secretary General of TUC, Nuhu Toro, in Abuja. The solidarity is in support of the strike by Federal Capital Development Authority workers, led by JUAC, over unpaid salaries. Recall that workers under JUAC commenced an indefinite strike on the 19th of January, shutting down key administrative offices, including the FCTA Secretariat and the FCDA. According to Union, the rally is to reaffirm Labour's collective resolve that an injury to one worker remains an injury to all within the Nigerian labour movement. The unions said the struggle was legitimate, non-negotiable, and would be sustained until justice was achieved. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in Lagos State has finalized arrangements to begin a 50-day rotational continuous voter registration CVR exercise across all the wards in the state. The Lagos State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Professor Ayobami Salami, disclosed this yesterday while addressing stakeholders at a meeting on the second phase of the CVR exercise. He said the initiative was aimed at widening voter participation and reducing apathy ahead of the 2027 general elections. Professor Salami described continuous voter registration as one of INEC's core statutory obligations, stressing its importance to the democratic process. He explained that the second phase of the exercise was designed to improve access and efficiency by taking voter registration closer to the people through a rotational approach. Now to the judiciary. Proceedings have resumed today in London in the corruption and bribery trial of former Nigerian Petroleum Minister Desiani Alison Madueke. Alison Madueke denies multiple charges relating to alleged misconduct while overseeing Nigeria's oil and gas sector. But prosecutors claim she received cash and luxury benefits in exchange for influence over energy contracts. The case has major implications for accountability in the global energy industry. More details would be available in a subsequent bulletins. Now to Africa. Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi has reaffirmed his commitment to inclusive and peaceful dialogue between all people in the Democratic Republic of Congo. In an address to the diplomatic corps in Kinshasa, he said national unity was more than a fundamental requirement. His comments come as fighting continues in the east of the country between the army and Rwanda-backed M23 rebels. He called for by parts of the opposition the idea of an inter-Congolese national dialogue, which also has been promoted by Angolan President João Lourenço in recent weeks. Tshisekedi, however, set out conditions for it to take place, including that the process must take place on home soil and under institutional control. On the foreign scene, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei has warned that any attack on his country would spark a regional conflict as the United States continues to build up its forces nearby. Khamenei said the Americans should know that if they start a war this time, it will be a regional war. Reports say President Donald Trump had earlier said Iran was in serious discussions and he hoped they would lead to something acceptable, while Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi told newsmen that he was confident that they can achieve a deal on Tehran's nuclear program. Trump has threatened to intervene in Iran over its nuclear ambitions and after its deadly crackdown on anti-government protests. Still on the foreign scene, Lord Middleton has resigned from Labour, saying he wants to save the party further embarrassment over his links to Jeffrey Epstein. New documents released in the United States suggest Epstein paid $75,000 to Lord Middleton in 3 separate transactions in 2003 and 2004. Middleton said he has no record of the payments to himself 20 years ago. He added that the allegations are false and need investigating by himself. Still to come in the news. Atletico Madrid confirms Lookman's arrival from Atalanta. Stay tuned for details of this and more in a moment. Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned and now to the rest of the news stories. On our business news, the federal government has reaffirmed that engineering-driven solutions are critical to achieving Nigeria's food security, stressing that mechanization, irrigation systems, storage infrastructure, and agro-processing technologies are essential to boosting productivity and reducing post-harvest losses across the country. It also emphasized the role of engineering in driving industrial growth, noting that a strong mechanical and manufacturing base is fundamental to value addition, job creation, and the competitiveness of Nigeria's industrial sector in both regional and global markets. Reports said the position was restated by the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, at the inauguration of the 17th National Chairman of the Nigerian Institution of Mechanical Engineers and Executive Committee members in Abuja. Still in business, petroleum product marketers have argued that the only way to shield Nigerians from the shock of a sudden surge in petrol prices is for the federal government to sell crude oil to the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and other local refineries at subsidized rates. The marketers therefore urged the federal government to sell crude oil to domestic refiners with a subsidy to prevent a sharp increase in petrol prices. Specifically, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria appealed to President Bola Tinubu to consider subsidizing crude prices while also extending the Naira for crude deal to other medulla refineries operating in the country. Recall that the Dangote refinery recently effected a price hike, pushing the pump price of petrol to 839 Naira per litre at MRS and other filling stations. On our health news, the chairman of the Nigerian Medical Association Lagos State Branch, Dr. Babajide Said, has called for a major shift in health funding priorities, saying primary health care should receive between 60 and 70% of budgetary allocations across all tiers of government. Speaking in a live broadcast, Dr. Said emphasized that primary health care remains the most critical component for accessible, preventive, and community-based medical services. He argued that without strong investments at this level, efforts to improve overall health outcomes would continue to falter. According to him, primary health care should take priority over secondary and tertiary care in public spending, noting that the current structure in Nigeria places disproportionate emphasis on higher level health care facilities. Now to sports. Atletico Madrid have confirmed that they have reached an agreement with Atalanta for the signing of Ademola Lookman. The Nigerian international arrived in Spain yesterday for his medicals. Atalanta will reportedly receive a guaranteed fee of 35 million euros with bonuses of up to 5 million euros. Lookman will sign a 4.5-year contract worth around 7 million euros per season in wages. The 28-year-old arrived at Atalanta from Bundesliga club RB Leipzig in 2024. He scored 41 goals in 105 league appearances for the Bergamo club. Still in sports, Galatasaray striker Victor Osimhen has echoed the club's former striker Radamel Falaso's record at the Turkish Super League champions. This comes after Osimhen scored a goal and provided an assist in Galatasaray's 4-0 victory over Kayserispor yesterday. The Nigerian international is now one of two Galatasaray players who have not missed a penalty in the Super League and have scored the most goals, 7. Osimhen's goal against Kayserispor means the 27-year-old now has 8 goals in the Super League this season. Osimhen will hope to lead Galatasaray to victory when they face Istanbulspor in the Turkish Cup on Wednesday. On entertainment news, South African singer Tyler has won the Best African Music Performance Award at the 68th Annual Grammy Awards. She took home the prize for her song Push to Start, beating out Nigerian stars Burna Boy, Davido and Iris Star, as well as Eddie Kenzo and Maren Mertens, Hope and Love, who were all nominated in the category. This marks Tyler's second win in the Best African Music Performance category, following her inaugural win in 2024 with Water. And that's all we have for you at this time in this bulletin. Do not follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTVLive.ng. This has been Spectrum Television News at 12. I am Uyai Imem. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good afternoon.